When we think about AI in medicine, our minds usually jump to adult healthcare, right? We imagine it predicting heart attacks, spotting tumors, creating these super personalized treatments. And it's an incredible frontier, no doubt. But what happens when we try to take that same amazing technology and apply it to the most vulnerable people in our society? Children. Well, that's where the story gets a whole lot more complex. And frankly, a lot more important. Let's dive into why this is one of the biggest challenges in medical tech today. Right here. This is the key to everything we're about to talk about. It's a fundamental truth in medicine, but for artificial intelligence, it's a massive roadblock. This is exactly why building AI for kids isn't just about shrinking an adult model down to size. Nope. It means we have to rethink the entire thing, right from the very beginning. But, okay, before we get into all the hurdles, let's look at the incredible promise. Because even though it's still early days, AI is already doing some truly life-changing and life-saving work for kids.
And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This stuff is happening right now. Take something like Face-to-Gene. It uses deep learning to scan a child's facial features and can help spot thousands of rare genetic disorders. That's a diagnosis that could otherwise take years of agonizing guesswork. Or think about this. AI can analyze a mother's blood in the first trimester and flag genetic issues, giving families time to prepare and intervene. And for critically ill newborns, AI-powered sequencing can give doctors a diagnosis in hours instead of weeks. That's not just saving time, that's literally saving lives.
So if the potential is that huge, what's the problem? What's the catch? Well, it all circles back to that one core idea. You just can't treat a child's data the same way you treat an adult's. Here's the crucial difference. An adult body, for the most part, is physiologically pretty stable. A child's body, though, it's a whirlwind of constant change. We're talking organs maturing, the brain wiring itself up, just incredible rates of growth. So an AI model that was trained on stable, predictable adult data, well, it's completely lost when it sees this constantly shifting, dynamic biological system. And this comparison, man, it really shows you the gap. For adult AI, you've got these huge, plentiful data sets to work with. For kids, the data is way smaller and all chopped up. Adult models have standardized benchmarks. Children have these incredibly variable growth patterns that are all over the place. And then you get to consent. For an adult, it's pretty straightforward. For a child, it's a super complex ethical web that involves the parents, the child themselves, ethics boards. Each one of these is a massive hurdle for developers to overcome. So to really see these challenges play out, let's zoom in on one of the most high-pressure, high-stakes environments in all of medicine, the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU. 1 in 10. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how many babies are born needing the kind of specialized care you find in a NICU. So this isn't some rare niche issue. It's a huge global challenge where every single second and every single decision can make all the difference. It's the perfect stress test for AI. So what does the science actually say? A recent review took a really deep dive into 24 different studies using AI in an ICU. And what they found, well, it tells us a lot about where we really are with this technology. The first thing that just jumps right off this chart is that big fat zero at the end, right? Of all 24 studies, 16 were just exploratory, basically just kicking the tires on an idea. 8 were a little more developed, but not a single one, not one, had reached the point of being a fully integrated AI system that's actually used in day-to-day clinical care. We are definitely in the very early stages. And when you dig in a little deeper, you can see where all that early research is focused. A lot of it is on predicting things like growth, development, and breathing problems. All absolutely critical areas for sure. And deep learning is the main tool they're using. But again, these are investigations. They're not off-the-shelf solutions that are ready to go at your local hospital. So the takeaway here is pretty clear. The headlines might be exciting, but the reality is that we're still just laying the foundation. The potential is absolutely undeniable, but the path from a research paper to a baby's bedside is a very, very long one. So, how do we build that path forward? How do we get from here to there? Well, faced with all these unique challenges, researchers and ethicists figured out we can't just stumble our way through this. We need a map. We need a blueprint. And that blueprint has a name, the Peril AI framework. It's a set of principles designed specifically to guide the ethical development and use of AI for kids. And the most important part is that it puts the child at the absolute center of the whole process. And here's how it breaks down.
P is for promoting well-being. Pretty simple. The tech has to help, not harm. E is for ensuring inclusion, which means you actually have to involve kids and diverse groups in the design, not just treat them like data points. A is for access and fairness, making sure these incredible tools benefit everyone, not just the wealthy. R stands for respecting privacy, because a child's health data is about as sensitive as it gets. And finally, L is for legitimacy. The whole system has to be transparent, accountable, and safe.
You know, a framework like Peril AI is more than just a set of guidelines. It's really our best shot at navigating this incredibly complex world responsibly. Because while the technology itself has the power to save lives and totally change the future of medicine for kids, the real test isn't a technical one. It's a human one. It's about whether we have the foresight and the integrity to build these powerful tools with a child's best interest at heart, every single step of the way.